Presiding over today's commencement exercise is Dowling College President, Dr. Albert F. Inserra. It is now my pleasure to introduce President Inserra.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Chairman Puro and Vice Chairman Curtin, Secretary Pasilico, and members of the Board of Trustees, and our honored guest, Gloria Gaynor, and to all of the family and friends that Gloria came with today, and they came from faraway places such as Germany to be here to recognize this great day. And I'd like to recognize our esteemed faculty, the staff, and the wonderful colleagues that I have in administrative staff. But to the parents, the grandparents, the relatives, the wives, the husbands, anyone who's part of this journey, we welcome you. We thought we would get this squared away by now, and Father Francis is still working on that. This is designated as the 53rd commencement of Dowling College. Actually, since I'm going to mention a jubilee at the end, Dowling began as Delphi, Suffolk. The first class of Dowling College actually was admitted in September 1968. So technically, this is the 47th commencement of Dowling. I'd like to also take a moment and recognize my lovely wife who's joining us today, Dr. Irene Noel. It's the 47th commencement, and it's my 47th year in education. Hard to believe that. I've had opportunities to give graduation speeches or moving up ceremonies, but that was to kindergartners, 8th graders, high school students. And every one of those remarks that I gave, when I thought about them, it was intended to inspire. You never know exactly where your words land. You're just hopeful. I hoped that somebody heard me, and maybe they thought about it, and maybe they changed directions or moved in a different way. But today is different. Today is my first opportunity to address you as the president of Dowling College, and I'm really humbled by that, and at the same time very honored. And while I want to talk about the future, what else is there? Ours, yours, and mainly society's, and the future of the world as we know it. A little scary out there right now. But we know that there's no better pathway to success other than education and a college degree, and those of you who are here getting graduate degrees, and of course, to our doctoral students who are no longer students but doctors. But I will always know them as colleagues. What will you do going forward? There's a big question that has been raised in some research, and that question is, what does a great life look like? Gallup, you know the Gallup polling industry, they looked at this question and framed a survey to 30,000 college graduates from all over this country, from public colleges, private colleges, small schools, big schools. And what we know prior to that research was that college graduates make more money. They make more money than those who did not graduate from college, on average. But Gallup wanted to know, does that lead to a great life? Their study had about 100 questions, but there were 3 big questions in that study that intrigued me. Now, I know you guys are all done already, and maybe you have another course left, but stay with me for one more quick test. 3 questions, yes or no. Don't answer them, only to yourself. In your college years, have you experienced at least one professor who made you excited about learning? Yes? Did you find that Dowling professors, staff, or administration cared about you as a person? And the third question, did you have a mentor? Someone who encouraged your hopes and your dreams? Can you answer yes to all three? In that national poll, 14% of college graduates could say yes to all three. That is just not acceptable, is it? Here, I want that answer to be 100%. I want every graduate who walks across this stage today to have a sense that they have encountered professors, staff, and administration who've cared deeply about them, challenged them, and cherished their hopes and dreams. If that's not accurate, then I need to do something about that, and I will. The findings from that study suggested 5 key dimensions that are part of that great life, that wonderful sense of well-being. First, you need a purpose. How do you occupy your time? Do you like what you do every day? Very simple questions. Answers may not be so easy. Second, do you have those special relationships in your life? Friends and family. Obviously, these people who sat here for an hour and a half waiting for this care about you. Money. Are you able to manage your economic life to reduce stress and insecurity? Doesn't say you need to be rich. It just says you need enough. Sense of community, the sense of giving back. Are you engaged and involved in the area where you live, where you work? Are you willing to put in time to give something back? And finally, physical. Do you do enough to keep yourself healthy and have enough energy to do the things that go on every day in your life? Another scary number. On those 5 dimensions, the range was 34 to 55%, meaning on any one of them, graduates said 34 all the way up to 55. 11% said they were thriving. That is, they could check yes to all 5 of those. The study went on to talk about emotional support. And it ties back to those questions. Were you supported during your college experience? And if you were, emotionally, your chances of answering all 5 increased by 3 times. And if we challenged you, if we thought that we were giving you what you needed to do your best, did we bring you to a place of what academics call deep learning? Did we give you experiential opportunities, internships, opportunities to work in the real world? When that happens, the odds go up again by another 3 times. So the chances are that if you could say yes to those 3 questions, you felt supported during your college years, you were challenged academically and intellectually, you're doing pretty well and you're on your way. However, there are a couple of other pathways that are important. And again, I reference the people who are sitting here with you today. It's 50 years ago that President Lyndon Johnson made a statement, and relevance and time may not be the same, meaning it doesn't matter that it was 50 years ago because what he said made sense. The family is the cornerstone of our society. More than any other force, it shapes the attitudes, the hopes, the ambitions, and the values of a child. And when the family collapses, it is the children that are usually damaged. When it happens on a massive scale, the community itself is crippled. That quote made me think of my own childhood. I grew up in a home where my parents had a 6th grade education. That's what they told me. I'm not sure that was true. They both came from sizable families. And I've gone on, obviously, with some message that I got from them. I still am not quite sure where I got it, But somewhere they instilled in me that graduating from college, high school, college, and going on was important. I have one sister. She's 14 years younger than me. So when she was ready to go to college, I took her on an interview. She wanted to go to Colgate. She wanted to go early decision. So we drove up on a snowy day, and the director of admissions conducted the interview and asked me to join them. And he asked me, at that point I did have my doctorate, and he said, "Tell me a little bit about your house. What was it like? What was the library like in your house?" And I looked and said, "We didn't have a library. I had a card. I could go to the library, but there was no sense of library in the house." Then he said, "Well, tell me about the music." And again, I shook my head. I said, "Frank Sinatra, Come Fly With Me." It's the album I gave my father for Christmas. But somewhere my sister got the message. And we often talk about that and where did it come from. So the messages that you get are coming from places that later on in life you may not even realize. I think my parents, who both passed on, hopefully they're proud of whatever they instilled in us and the sense of what it would take to have that great life. Another big component for me is emotional health. Daniel Goleman, a well-known author on emotional intelligence, said, "If your emotional abilities aren't in hand, if you don't have self-awareness, if you are not able to manage your distressing emotions, if you can't have empathy and have effective relationships, then no matter how smart you are not going to make it." So how does a college education shape all that? How do all these things tie back together? In a recent article in a journal called The Presidency, Carol Geary Schneider, she's the president of the Association of American Colleges, and she wrote an article on reshaping the conversation about a liberal arts education. She said degree holders in the humanities and social sciences contribute disproportionately to a family of social services and professions. They are absolutely necessary to the health of our communities and our educational system. Absent liberal arts graduates, the institutions that support democracy and the social safety net would be left dangerously weakened. I believe that your Dowling education has given you those tools to go forth, create that sense of well-being, and that should lead to a great life. In short, a strong liberal arts education provides the blend of big picture and specialized learning that best prepares students for career success and democratic responsibility. You have the knowledge, the critical thinking skills, the ability to collaborate, the competency to communicate, the capacity to think creatively, the necessary intellectual curiosity, and the ethical principles to be successful. I do like lists. My wife will verify that. So this list from another well-known journal called Men's Health. I'm sorry, I didn't look in Women's Health. It probably would have something similar. These are the to-do lists. 1, don't look at the dollar signs. Nothing wrong with the money, but the danger is to provide the contentment. Strengthen those relationships. Make sure that real face time, not texting. You really need to talk to those people, friends and family. My son lives not that far away, but watching a game with him now means that we're both watching the same game, and he's texting me, telling me what he sees, and I answer him. I don't like that. I want to go to the game with him. You need to say thank you often to someone, especially your parents and your family. You need to dance. Dance. Boogie. Remember that those laughing at those who are dancing are the ones who can't hear the music. Take a mental selfie. Shows how techie I am. Visualize yourself reaching your most important goals, and that should feel pretty good. And one of the things that I've recently learned in my life is breathe. Started doing yoga a few years ago, and it's amazing what breathing does. The other thing is don't compare and then despair. Happy people do not compare themselves to others. They just don't do it. And smile. So if we combine a strong educational foundation with a better sense of self through increased emotional intelligence and strong support from family and friends, we have the makings of that great life. Now go for it. Go create the great life, and remember that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Congratulations on a great day and a great accomplishment.